There's a mug in the office that you've seen 100 times and probably never thought about. It says World's Best Boss, and Michael Scott drinks out of it in basically every episode. And here's the thing about that mug. Nobody gave it to him. He bought it for himself at a Spencer Gifts in the mall. He tells you that in the very first episode. He picks up a mug that calls him the best boss in the world, and he puts it on his desk in front of a room full of people he is desperate to have actually believe it. And the show remembers that detail, which is the part that gets me. Years later, in his very last episode, Michael is packing up his desk and he holds that same mug up and he says, out loud, "I bought this for myself." After everything, the one trophy on his desk is still the one he had to buy. That's Michael Scott. And I think most people watched this show and laughed at him for 9 years without ever really seeing him. Because underneath the cringe, underneath Diversity Day and the foot on the grill and every moment you watched through your fingers, Michael was the loneliest man on television. The show just played it for laughs so well that the sadness slipped right past everybody. I didn't catch it for years either. It's a comfort show. You put it on, you laugh, you fall asleep. And then one rewatch I stopped laughing at him and I couldn't start again. So get comfortable on the Couchflix sofa, because today we're talking about the crushing loneliness of Michael Scott. To understand Michael, you have to understand the one thing he actually wants, because everything he does grows out of it. He wants to be loved. Not respected, not even liked exactly. Loved. There's a talking head where he says he wants people to be afraid of how much they love him. And in another one, he says it even plainer. He says he doesn't need to be liked, he likes to be liked. He enjoys being liked, but what he really needs is to be praised. That's the whole engine of the guy. A man who needs other people to tell him he's good, constantly, or he starts to feel like he's disappearing. And he built his entire life around getting it. The office isn't a job to Michael, it's his family. He says it outright, over and over. These people are his family. This is where he's happy. This is the place where dreams come true. The problem is they didn't sign up to be his family. They signed up for a paycheck. So Michael spends every day trying to turn coworkers into the loves of his life, and most of them are just trying to get through the day and go home. He once spent 11 years making a spy movie in his spare time, Threat Level Midnight, and then he gathered the whole office to watch it, and they did watch it. That's the relationship in a nutshell. Michael making enormous needy bids for their attention, and the office tolerating him just enough that he never quite gives up. You can see how alone he really is in the small stuff the show throws away. There's an episode where Michael burns his foot, and the reason is that he keeps a George Foreman grill on the floor right next to his bed, so he can wake up to the smell of bacon cooking. Nobody is making Michael breakfast. He lives by himself. So he rigged up a way to wake up to the smell of someone cooking, because that is the closest he can get to not being alone in the morning. He nearly maims himself for the feeling of a full house. That's the life outside the office. The one he's driving away from every morning when he comes in early and turns on the lights. It also explains the thing people always bring up, which is how much he hates Toby. Toby never does anything to him. He's quiet, he's polite, he follows the rules. And Michael treats him like an enemy because Toby works for corporate, not for Michael, which makes him the one person in the building who represents the thing Michael can't stand to know. Toby is proof that this isn't a family. It's a company. His entire job is the rule book that says these people are employees, not relatives. Michael needs the family to be real, and Toby is a walking daily reminder that it isn't. So Michael can't even be in a room with him. The need to be loved also makes his love life genuinely hard to watch once you see what's going on. Michael doesn't really date. He proposes. There's Carol, his realtor, a totally normal woman, and he asks her to marry him after about 9 dates. Before that, he'd already photoshopped his own face into her family's old vacation photos, because in his head he's already one of them. She says no, obviously, and the show plays it for a laugh. But look at what he's doing. He's trying to skip straight to the part where someone is permanently his. He can't stand the waiting, the not knowing whether a person will stay. So he tries to lock it in before he even knows them. And then there's Jan and the dinner party, which is one of the funniest and saddest episodes the show ever did. Michael is so proud of his condo. And in that condo, the man sleeps on a tiny bench at the foot of his own bed, because Jan wants the space. The apartment is full of her candle business that he is paying for while she belittles him in front of his coworkers all night long. And he just takes it. He refills everyone's wine and he takes it, because being treated badly by someone is still, to Michael, better than going home to nobody. A bad family beats an empty apartment. He made that trade a long time ago. Now here's the scene that made me put the remote down, because the show actually tells you why Michael is like this, right out in the open in season 2, and then it basically never mentions it again. The kids come into the office for Take Your Daughter to Work Day, and Michael, trying to impress them, digs up an old tape of himself as a little boy on a local kids show. On the tape, a puppet asks young Michael what he wants to be when he grows up. And this small kid in a suit says he wants to get married and have 100 kids so that he can have 100 friends and no one can say no to being his friend. 100 friends so no one can say no. That's not a kid dreaming about a job. That's a kid who is already, at 7 years old, scared that people leave, and trying to invent a way to make it impossible. And what happens right after the tape is even worse. The kids in the office start asking him about it. One of them asks if he got married. He says no. Did you have the kids? No. And then a little girl asks, so you didn't get to be what you wanted to be? And Michael goes quiet and he says, I guess not. The children find the one nerve and lean on it, and he just stands there and takes it, and then he goes and hides in his office. He never grew out of that kid. The whole man is right there on the tape. He became the boss because the boss is the one person in the room that nobody is allowed to walk out on. The office is the 100 kids. The branch is the 100 friends. He found a grown-up, legal way to build the exact thing the boy on that tape wished for, and it still didn't fully work because you can't make people love you by signing their paychecks. And once you see that, the camera crew starts to mean something too. Remember, this whole show is a documentary. There's a film crew in that office for years, and Michael is the one person who never gets tired of them. Everybody else hides from the camera sometimes. Michael plays to it the entire time because the camera is exactly what he's been chasing his whole life. It watches him constantly. It never judges him. It never leaves. For a man who can't stand to be unseen, a documentary crew following him around is the best thing that ever happened to him. He isn't being filmed, he's being kept company. Now, I don't want to make him sound pathetic, because that same need made Michael genuinely kind in a way nobody else on that show was. When Pam has an art show and nobody comes, not her coworkers, not even her own fiancé, Michael is the one who shows up. He tells her he's proud of her, and he buys her drawing of the office building and hangs it on the wall. He does stuff like that constantly. The same desperation that makes him propose to near strangers also makes him the guy who notices when you're alone, because he knows exactly what that feels like. That's the part that makes the office eventually, slowly, actually love him back. And then, after all of it, Michael gets the real thing. Her name is Holly. She's odd in the exact same way he's odd. She laughs at what he laughs at, and he's right when he calls her his soulmate. He decides to leave Scranton and move to Colorado to build an actual family with her, which is everything he ever wanted. So you'd expect his last day to be the big, tearful send-off. The show does something smarter and sadder than that. Michael tells everyone his last day is tomorrow. It isn't. He's leaving that night, a day early, and he's not telling them because he can't handle the goodbyes. The man who spent his whole life begging these people for attention can't be in the room when they finally give it to him, because if he sees how much they love him, he won't be able to go. Jim figures it out, they have a quiet goodbye, and Michael nearly falls apart. And then he just slips out to his cab while everyone's working, with one last look back at them, and he's gone. But Pam realizes too late and races to the airport. She catches him right past security. And here's the moment. Before she reaches him, Michael takes off his microphone and hands it back to the crew. He makes one last little joke into it, and then his real goodbye with Pam. The one that actually matters, he has it with the mic off. We don't hear a single word. The show shoots it from far away, through the glass, to people we can't hear. The man who performed his entire life for that camera turns it off for the one goodbye that means the most. He even asks the crew to let him know if the documentary ever airs, because of course he does. And then he's gone. And Pam walks back wiping her eyes and tells the camera he wasn't sad. He was full of hope about Colorado, about getting home to Holly. And he was right to be hopeful, because here's what actually makes Michael different from almost everyone else on this show. He made it out. Years later, in the very last episode, he comes back for Dwight and Angela's wedding, and he's got 2 phones full of pictures of his kids. And he looks around at the office, at Jim and Pam, at all of them, and he says he feels like all his kids grew up and then they married each other, and that it's every parent's dream. He got the 100 friends, maybe not 100, but enough. The lonely kid from the tape grew up and got the family after all, which is exactly what makes the 9 years before it land so hard once you actually see them. Michael was funny because he tried too hard. And he tried too hard because he was terrified of being alone. And those are the same thing. Every cringe, every impression that went 3 minutes too long, every party he overplanned, it's all one guy standing in the middle of a room asking people not to leave. And we laughed, because the music told us to, because it was easy. But I think a lot of us know that feeling better than we'd like to. Being in a room, performing some version of yourself, quietly afraid that the second you stop being fun or useful, people will drift off. Michael just never got a minute off stage for years, surrounded by people who knew the act and not the man. The loneliest place in the world isn't an empty room. It's a full one where everybody came for the show. He bought himself that mug because he wasn't sure anyone else ever would. The small mercy of the whole thing is that by the end, somebody finally did. If this one got to you, do me a favor and hit like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. And if you're not ready to get up off the couch yet, there's another one already playing on your screen right now. Go ahead and click it, and I'll see you over there.